Our food security initiative is hoping that it could potentially get ahead of those depending on food banks for food by offering tools to help lift people out of poverty altogether. So for more on this, we're joined by Feed Scarborough's founder, Suman Roy. Suman, great to have you on the show this morning, and I appreciate you're here after being in Ottawa yesterday talking to politicians about your initiative here. Describe what you'd like to see done and how you think this could help people.
Thanks a lot for having me. I think we have always heard for the last little while the grim, sad story of food bank lines being long, lots of people coming to food banks, and that's a reality. We started 4 years ago serving 1,000 people. Now we are 8,500 people. So we can see that change. However, just doing that will not solve the problem, and the numbers will continue to rise. So in Feed Scarborough Food Security Initiative, we took it in our hands to have wraparound services in a way that actually build resiliency within our community, so they don't need to rely on operations like food banks. So that is kind of what we are focusing on, like career development, like business incubation, to name a few, especially with newcomers coming into this country. And especially in Scarborough, we know a lot of them land up. And to help them actually to find employment, get their education certified, get their experiences certified, and get them into employment is kind of what our goals are.
It sounds to me like the old saying, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach him how to fish, he'll eat forever. Is that 100%. Pretty much the philosophy here?
That is it, and that is where we need a lot of support from the governments of different levels in actually looking into that as a solution for food security.
What was the response you found from the MPs in Ottawa yesterday?
We thought it was amazing because they have been, in the last little while, done some interesting policies around school food, around the dental care for children, for the seniors. So all of those policies are going in the right direction. It needs to continue. But focusing on employment and income security is the key. And what we felt yesterday, that most of the politicians we met understands. And they are working towards solutions. We don't know how soon. But that is the key question.
What do you think it says about sort of the state of kind of where we are right now, that food banks have to expand their role in order to help people even more? I mean, food banks were initially just a temporary stopgap solution, but here we are, they've almost become institutionalized. What are your thoughts on the fact that, I mean, the initiative, absolutely laudable and wonderful, but the fact that we're actually here, that it's come down to food banks having to offer this to sort of help lift people up?
The unfortunate part is whenever people talk about food security, the first thing they think about is food banks. And that should be the last thing people think about. Food banks are not the solution. We all agree, we all know. It is all these other programs that we need to do so people don't need to come to food banks. So it is a shift of the mind. And that is why our latest report that we launched yesterday in Ottawa is on the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. Because we feel that there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And when I'm asked the question, which one do you really work on? I laugh because all of them are so intermingled. And you can't just work on one. You can't just work on zero hunger if you don't work on no poverty, you don't work on employment, you don't work on... It's all connected. So that is what our report that we launched. It's to talk about how all our programs are working towards the SDGs. And the key is the UN has come up, and a lot of smart people out there has come up with these 17 recommendations by 2030. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to adopt it and work towards it, and we will find a solution.
So how can people in Scarborough, or perhaps even beyond, get involved and get into these programs and take part and take advantage of?
So the best way is go through our website, feedscarborough.ca. And you can go to your program, you can see the programs, you can see our reports, you can see how we can get connected, whether it's through volunteering, as a client, through donations, whichever way it works. And we are open-armed welcoming you.
Okay, that is remarkable. And when you consider those numbers, 1,000 to 8,500 in just 4 years, that really says a lot about where we are. Suman, thank you so much. A really pleasure to meet you.
Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this.
Take care.